Good morning and welcome to Big Bets on Campus Live. It's 10:30 a.m. Eastern on Friday, and we're going to talk Sweet 16 games tonight. I'm your host, Stuckey, and joining me, as always, are the gentlemen from the three-man weave, Matt Cox, Kai McKeon, and Jim Root. We're going to go through all four games. We'll also check in with Mr. Darren Ravel for a market report halfway through. Crazy night last night. It was the first time in 27 years that we had two 1 seeds go down on the same night in the Sweet 16. Before we get into the best bets, I do want to remind everyone to download the award-winning Action Network app. But let me go around the horn here. Matt, Duke, are they winning it all now? Your Blue Devils.
Yes. They just opened -4 against Arkansas. I know I don't want to give away any previews for that round yet. I know we're talking Sweet 16 specifically today, but I would hop all over that. I think they smash Arkansas, and the path sets up nicely for them to cut down the nets in Coach K's last stand.
Didn't miss a single shot in the final 8:30 of that game against the number one defense in the country. Impressive effort. Kai, good call on Houston. How is this team so good? They lost two of their best players.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. That's why Kelvin Sampson is the best coach in the country, period. No other coach could have done what he has done. They're number 2 in KenPom. They just owned Arizona. Men versus boys that game. Men versus boys the entire tournament. I'm incredibly in on this Houston team. The Villanova game is going to be a lot of fun to watch.
If only they didn't hit that shot. TCU, I'm going to argue, they would have given Houston a better game than what we saw from Arizona last night. And Jim, the Zags, they go down. People are going to overreact. Oh, Zaga can't win the big. I've been in the national title game twice in the last couple of years. But what happened in that game exactly?
They got bullied, man. I think Jordan Majeski tweeted something along the lines of the transition defense was so good early that they just stopped pushing like completely. Arkansas was excellent, took them out of their game. And yeah, Gonzaga just got out toughed. It felt like like down the stretch, they were just kind of cowering and hoping to make the big shot, whereas Arkansas was like craving taking the big shot. The stage was better set up for Arkansas last night. I was really impressed.
Yeah, if you told me that Notre went 9 of 29, I would have said Arkansas no shot.
Hearty appetite there.
Yeah, he threw up some bad shots, but he played amazing everywhere else. So defensively, the pressure, he had 6 rebounds, 6 assists, 3 steals, made a number of key late plays. So credit to the Hogs who are going on to Elite 8 to face Duke. All right, let's get into all 4 games tonight, and we'll go chronologically. Let's start with everyone's favorite Cinderella, St. Peter's, the Peacocks, the 15 seed taking on Purdue. Purdue's a 13-point favorite here, over under sitting at 133 and a half. St. Peter's, by the way, they had no tournament wins before this year. They do have the 7th leading scorer in NCAA history, by the way, Keidron Clark. Yeah. First tournament win. Now they're in the Sweet 16. They're only the third 15 seed to ever reach this round. The previous 2 did not win, but they did cover. Let's see what we're thinking here. Let's go to our leadoff hitter, the Ricky Henderson of the show, Matty Cox. What are you seeing here?
Yeah, I got caught stealing 3 times last time. We don't have to revisit that, Stuck. I'm actually looking at the over here. I do lean Purdue on the side. I know you guys will talk about those matchup components quickly here, but I just think there's scoring in this game. There's been early money coming on the under. It's pushed it down to 133 and a half, 134. I think Purdue can name their number offensively with the dominance they'll have up front in the post. But I think the key dynamic here is Jaden Ivey. This feels like it's his game, what he can do in transition against just an okay transition defense, how electric he can be in ball screen. I think this is the Ivey star breakout game where he kind of reasserts how awesome he's been throughout the course of the year. And I think Purdue can have a tendency to be apathetic on defense when they build big leads. So I think St. Peter's can kind of chip away at some garbage points that get you over that 134.
Kai, what are you saying?
I'm going Purdue and St. Peter's, to their credit, it's the most shocking Cinderella 15 seed, make the Sweet 16 ever. I mean, what a story. Congratulations. But they've been playing over their head these first 2 games. I mean, they had an out-of-body experience against Kentucky offensively. Their defense has been very good, but Purdue, this is the toughest offensive challenge they're going to face. Yeah, Edie and Williams, people are going to focus on that. Those guys are going to be impossible for their 6'7" front court to stop. But Jaden Ivey, to Matt's point, there's no matchup for him in the backcourt here. He could go for 30 points tonight. And I know one of you guys would touch on the free throw disparity here. Purdue shot, 46 free throws against Texas. That's going to happen again. St. Peter's fouls at one of the highest rates in the country. I just don't see how they can keep this game close. Again, a great story, but I think it's Purdue's game on the number.
Jim, do you agree?
I do. Yeah, I'm going to go mini soapbox here, Kai. I think a common fan gripe is that foul count should be even and free throw count should be even in games. It shouldn't. Some teams play more physically intentionally. Some teams are just tempting the refs for calls. St. Peter's is going to be kind of doing that tonight. They are going to shove these Purdue big guys all over the place, try to get them off their spot. And I think there's going to be a ton of free throws again. St. Peter's is 348th nationally in defensive foul rate. Like they do it a ton. Purdue gets to the line all the time. They're going to live there again tonight. I think they take 35 to 40 free throws again. And then you combine that with Ivy and the fact that Purdue can knock down threes if St. Peter's does double. I'm with Matt. I think Purdue scores a ton here. I'm not willing to take the over because I don't know if St. Peter's is going to. I don't know if their offense continues, but I do think Purdue covers minus 12.5.
Yeah, Purdue generally a pretty good favorite, sizable favorite against these inferior teams that just don't have the size to combat them inside. I agree. I'm probably going to pass here, but I lean Purdue for the reasons that you mentioned. And you mentioned the fouls that St. Peter's is going to most likely have. They have to really hope that the refs just do not call this tight at all. On the other side of the ball, how does Peters get their offense all year? They got to get to the line. Well, Purdue doesn't foul. Top 10 in the country in foul rate. And they have to get offensive rebounds. Well, Purdue's a great defensive rebound team. So where's the offense coming for St. Peter's? And you could say, yes, St. Peter's is a good rim defense, but that's in the MAC, right? Like we saw against Oscar Tshiebwe, he did whatever he wanted inside. He had 30 and 14 or whatever. Kentucky just couldn't make a shot, and St. Peter's made every shot. So Purdue should be a layup line, dunks. That's if they're not hitting their threes. So I agree. I think it's Purdue or nothing. I hate to say it because who's not rooting for the Peacocks unless you have a wager on this game? All right, let's move on to the second game of the night, which will tip off like 20 minutes after the first. The only one seed remaining, the Kansas Jayhawks, will take on Providence Friars. Providence 7.5 point underdog here, over under sitting at 141.5. If Kansas loses, it will be the first ever NCAA tournament without a 1 seed in the Elite Eight. Matt, does that happen?
I think Kansas goes down. I'm taking Providence money line. I've been fading the luck train all season, but now you finally get the money line Kings at a favorable price, catching 7.5. Money line translated, that's looking at plus 270, plus 280 at some places. I think they execute better down the stretch in a tight game. And I think this game ends up being a 1, 2, 3 possession game tops. I don't feel like Kansas has the propensity to blow this Providence team away, just with the juju they're playing with. We've seen these teams that are just white hot continue to parlay that momentum going into next round. I love the Cooley thing, man. I think Providence gets it done here. Plus 275.
Kai, is Matt crazy?
A little bit, but he's been right before. I do like Providence on the number here. Plus 7, plus 7.5. That's too high. We know Providence lives in these close games, and they have all season. And I think they can keep this one within 2 possessions, 1 possession. The thing about Providence that's impressive about them, they have a different guy who can step up and be the quote unquote star on a given night. We saw Noah Horschler do it against Richmond. We saw Al Durham do it against South Dakota State. Those are not their 2 best players. Now, I don't think Nate Watson has any advantage in this game against KU's front line, but Jared Bynum's a real star. Tonight could be his moment in the sun here. I do think KU's offense is a little bit too elite right now for them to actually lose this game. Providence just okay on B. The luck maybe runs out a little bit here, Jim, but I do think they cover the plus 7.
Yep. Yeah. I'm taking shot quality. I'm taking Ken Pom. I'm throwing it all out with Providence. It doesn't matter. The numbers don't matter. They have broken all statistical measurement systems. I'm taking plus 7.5 as well. I probably will sprinkle the money line with Matthew. I thought the Kansas defense, which has kind of been their weakness all season, got exposed against Creighton. They gave up over a point per possession to a team with 4 competent offensive players left, and the only guys that were scoring, and they still gave up over a point per possession. So I think that's a concern. I think Remy Martin has juiced the offense, but has not really helped the defense on the other end. I think that's getting ignored a little bit. This ultra veteran Providence team with 24-year-olds up and down the roster, a great coach in Ed Cooley. It's too many points, plus 7.
Yeah, I agree. I'll make it a 4-4. I'm not going to quite go money line. Maybe I'll sprinkle. But yeah, I just think that the number is too high. This Kansas team has shown me that over and over again. Like there's something off where they can't really get margin against teams that they're better against, like the TCU back-to-back game, right? Undermanned Creighton team. I think Providence has the balance, like the mojo, the experience to keep this one close. The one thing I worry about is their transition defense. Kansas is elite in transition. Providence transition defense is not pretty. So they're going to have to make shots. But guess what? In order to cover, you're going to have to make shots. So if they're missing every shot, it could really snowball with Kansas getting out in transition. But I think Providence will make enough shots to keep this close. So give me the Friars. All right, let's take a little quick halftime break and check in with Darren Ravel for a market report. He's live in a robe. So what do you got, Darren?
Is my chest hair covered, Stuck?
It doesn't look like it, but that's okay.
Okay. First of all, 3-man weave, Stuckey, Action Network. You guys have done an incredible job. Awesome shows throughout the tournament. I will say that the St. Peter's narrative, of course, the public loves that. Most bet on team at BetMGM is St. Peter's plus 12.5, plus 13, wherever that winds up. 62% of the money at BetMGM on St. Peter's, 65% of the money at WinBet on St. Peter's, 67% of the money on St. Peter's at PointsBet. Providence is also getting the money everywhere on the 7.5 number. So you guys, I just heard one of you guys say that it seems like it might be a little bit too much there. I'm hoping that my 150-1 Providence hits after they played the third or fourth game of the season. I couldn't believe how good they were. And I really didn't know any, as a casual guy, didn't know anyone on the team. So Providence, most of the money's on Providence. Then we have UNC, UCLA. All the money on UNC, 80% at PointsBet, 73% at WinBet, 72% at BetMGM. And we just got in a bet on North Carolina to win it all. So a $10,200 bet on North Carolina to win it all at BetMGM would pay $250,000. That same bet on Duke would pay $46,000. So someone likes that game there. They like North Carolina. And then finally, the Iowa State Miami 3.5, all the money on Miami in that game. We put out a poll just to see, since it seems like all the money is on the certain teams. So we put out a poll. We said, will all this hit? And so hold on, where is this? I gotta get to this. Okay. So the public's all aligned. St. Peter's plus 12.5, Providence plus 7.5, Miami -3, UNC plus 2.5. Will this public 4-team parlay hit? And 18% say yes.
Well, I'm going to say most likely no, but thank you, Darren. And by the way, can we say throw out Ken Palm? We got to have a Darren Palm. Apparently, Darren knew the Providence was going to be really good 3 games in to the season. So look, just Darren's eyes.
Listen, I didn't know they were good. I saw them play my horrible Northwestern team, and I just couldn't. It's always hard to say, but I couldn't. They were hitting every shot, and then I placed that bet, and then the next day I came back because there was a tournament at the Prudential Center, and I told the Providence guy I made that bet, and he's like, "Yeah, that's a really stupid bet. We won't be that good this year." So even the Providence guy who was sitting courtside didn't think it was a good bet.
Oh, anyway. Good luck to you, Darren, and thanks as always for your market report. Enjoy your hotel room. All right, let's keep it moving here, and let's move on to the game that Darren just mentioned. North Carolina, UCLA, just name brand recognition, college basketball, blue bloods, this awesome matchup. Great jersey matchup too. Looks like UCLA 2-point favorite here, holding steady. Matt Carpenter, leadoff hitter. Maybe call you Matt Carpenter. What do you got here?
Yeah, no batting gloves needed for me. I kind of lean UCLA, Stuckey. I'm not going to make an official play. This is the one game where I think live betting is your best route to making some money. But if I had to take a full game side, I would lean UCLA for 2 main factors. If it's a close game late, I think UCLA's superior shot making will be the difference. And I trust Mick Cronin as a tactician X and O advantage over Hubert Davis. And secondly, we have got word that Jaime Jaquez is supposed to play. We don't know how effective he'll be, but that's enormous. If you've paid attention the last 3 weeks, he has been this team's best player. It's not been Juzang, because Juzang's been banged up as well. So I think a healthy and effective Jaquez is key if you want to back the Bruins.
Okay.
I'm going Tar Heels. For my money, UNC has strung together the 2 most impressive games of the tournament, winning against Marquette by 30-ish, They were up by 25 against Baylor before Manic was out of that game. Probably could have blown him out if he stayed in there. That was impressive. UCLA has had kind of an easy draw. St. Mary's is not a great matchup for them. They're way too athletic, way too big for St. Mary's. So they got fortunate in the second round there. We saw Akron almost take them down. So I wouldn't categorize that as an impressive game for the Bruins. And UNC, we know, is way bigger, way more athletic than St. Mary's. UCLA is not going to be able to overpower them. It is a true power conference team in the Tar Heels here. Again, I've been impressed with them. +2 is very short. I'll probably take UNC on the money line here, but I'll settle with the points as well.
Jim, more ACC mojo and success here? What do you think?
It might be. I was actually kind of leaning towards UNC, and I was considering taking them if it hit +3. I thought when Jaquez was announced it might go up to that. Ken Palm's got it 4, but it's down to 2. I'm sitting on my hands on this one. This is the equivalent of Arizona-Houston last night, where I can talk myself into both sides. I don't love the number. So I'm going to sit this one out. Jaquez, I think, could be limited. I know he's playing, but I've seen him play on bad ankles already this year, and he was not himself. And yeah, like Kai said, UNC's been maybe the most impressive team in the tournament so far. So I will sit this one out and just kind of enjoy. Got a couple bets on the last game, Stuckey.
Okay. Yeah, I'm going to go with the Heels here. I really like the matchup. And look, Jaquez, if he's not fully healthy, it only helps UNC here. But how do you score on UCLA? You got to hit catch and shoot threes. Their perimeter defense can be a bit shaky at times. UNC excels in that aspect. They actually can shoot this year. Right, Love found a shot. Davis can shoot. You bring in Matt who can shoot. And then what do you also have to do? You have to get out and transition at times. UCLA outside the top 300 in transition defense. UNC can really succeed there. And how can they do that? Defensive glass. They're second in the nation in defensive rebounding rate. That, one, takes away a strength of UCLA on the offensive glass, and two, can get them out in transition. And the other thing is UNC defensively, they don't pressure you at all. They're never going to turn you over, but UCLA doesn't turn the ball over ever at all against anyone. So that kind of negates that strength in a way. One of UNC's other weaknesses is their defense on the 3-point line, right? They kind of play a little off. They don't pressure you. They want to get defensive rebounds and then push. UCLA doesn't shoot threes. So I think this is actually a good matchup. And I think UNC at their peak is a better team than UCLA on a neutral. There's just been a lot of variance with UNC. Sometimes their defense doesn't show up. It's the tournament. I think that we can expect it to show up here. Again, I do hate the coaching mismatch here with the coaching and the experience of the Final Four run, but I think UNC at their peak is better, and they have some matchup advantages here. So give me the Heels and the ACC mojo to continue. All right, let's move on to our final game of the day, and it's a pair of double-digit seeds, Iowa State and Miami. As Darren alluded to, all of the money is coming to Miami. I think Iowa State opened as a 1-point favorite. Miami's out to a 3-point favorite here, over under 133-ish. Another ACC, everyone just threw shade at them all year, and here we are with another ACC team. Matt, what do you got here?
Yeah, a little bit worried. I mean, the money just keeps pouring in. I see it's -3 pretty much everywhere at this point now. I'm going to be a sheep and roll with the herd. I'm taking Miami first half, though. I don't like the full game price at 3. You can actually find -1, I believe, at DraftKings and a couple other shops out there for the first half on the Canes. I think the matchup edge here for Miami is the fact that they're just so sound with the basketball. They're basically playing 4 guards, very sound with the rock, and that's how Iowa State has supplemented their scoring all season. If you force them into a shot-making, jump-shooting only team, that really cramps up their offensive efficiency. And so I think for that reason, the Canes have a real edge tonight. Again, first half, -1, -1.5.
Kai, are you sheeping with us?
I'm sheeping, and public money isn't always wrong. And in this case, Miami just has a really good matchup here. We're going to talk about the turnovers constantly. I think here, Miami, one of the best ball handling teams in the country. Iowa State needs to force turnovers to get their offense going, like Matt said. And on the other end, Miami's dribble drive is really their bread and butter to their offense, getting into the lane with those guards. Iowa State's 2-point field goal percentage defense, 218th in the country. It's about the worst thing they do defensively, and that's what Miami wants to do offensively. So again, it's a bad matchup for Iowa State here. They are actually favored on KenPom, but I think Miami takes this game here, wins it by more than 1 possession.
Jim, in agreement?
Yep, I'm joining the herd as well. One other thing I'll add to the turnover rate. Wisconsin's number 1 in turnover rate, but they didn't punish Iowa State for gambling the way that Miami will. Like, they're going to take care of the ball and get to the rim, get inside, either score themselves or kick out for open threes. Both of Miami's bigs can knock down threes, which I think opens up the floor even more for those driving lanes. I love the matchup for Miami. I'm taking the -2.5 if it's still out there at a couple shops. And then I'm also taking the first half under 62 down to 61.5 in most places. I just think Iowa State games always have like a feeling out process. They play such a physical, intense style. I'm thinking this will be like 13-11 after 10 minutes. That's how every Iowa State game in the tournament has been so far. And then I'll take my chances that the final 10 minutes won't be enough of a shootout to get over that number. So first half under 62 for me.
Yep, I agree. I'm going to go with Miami money line though. I actually paired some with took some money line outright, paired some with Purdue money line. Are we overdue for a buzzer beater? Miami feels like the team that always has buzzer beater, so I don't know. But yeah, I mean, look, Miami kind of feels like UNC in a way. Like their route has been so impressive how they got here. I mean, especially against USC, they went 1 of 14 from 3. USC went 9 of 20. And Iowa State, look, they just forced 17 turnovers against LSU. They forced 19 turnovers against Wisconsin, who lost Hepburn. That's not going to happen here, and that's their only path to offense. Forcing turnovers, getting out in transition. Miami top 10 in the country in turnover rate. They have ball handlers everywhere that can handle this pressure. And the other side of the ball, Miami actually forces turnovers at a top 60 rate nationally. And Iowa State coughs up the ball incessantly. What does that lead to? Miami in transition. They're the number one most efficient team in the country in transition. And where has Miami struggled all year? You know, rebounding, interior defense. That's not something you really worry about with Iowa State. So I think this is a great matchup for Miami. I think turnovers will be the difference. And I think that they have some shots that are due to start falling from the outside as well. So give me the Canes money line. All right, that'll do it for us at Big Bets on Campus Live. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks, as always, to the men from Free Man Weave, Matt Cox, Kai McKeon, and Jim Root. And, of course, thanks to Darren Ravel and his robe and chest hair. Sorry if you saw that. But make sure you check out Big Bets on Campus wherever you listen to podcasts. We'll be back same time tomorrow to preview the entire Elite Eight, all 4 games. Good luck on your wagers. We'll see you then.